Hi everyone and welcome to this video. In this video I'm going to take you through the basic tasks to familiarize yourself with the appearance and functions of the PayGlobal components. So I will be showing you what all these icons refers to, what is each of these terminologies called, and basically a general overview of the user interface of the PayGlobal software. Without any further ado, let's get started. Alright, the first thing that you will need to do is you'll need to log into your PayGlobal account. I highly recommend, if you're logging in for doing any testing, log into your test environment. And this is simply how you would know if you are connected to your test environment. You will see a red bar over here with test written in capital and in asterisk as well, just to show you that you are currently logged onto the test environment. Now the first thing that I want you to do is, whenever you log in and if you see that your PayGlobal screen is not maximized, I would strongly suggest you to do that before you begin doing anything else. Now this is because you would want your user interface to be set to the maximum resolution of your screen. This could be either your laptop or your desktop that you are working on, or it could be on a secondary monitor that you are working on. The second reason why it's important to maximize your screen is because so that you can see the last bar over here, which basically will show you a lot of things, and we will learn this along this MYOB PayGlobal training journey. So ensure that you maximize it. To maximize your screen, you'll click on this and your screen is maximized. Now that your screen is maximized, you'll see that it's now utilizing the entire screen of your laptop, of your desktop, or even of your monitor. And that is very important because now you can see everything fit into that particular screen. So we'll start from the top. This over here is called the menu bar, and there are certain properties inside the menu bar that we can go along and explore. So the first one is the file. So if you click on file, you can exit PayGlobal, and as you click on that, it will ask you for confirmation if you like to exit or not. Alternatively, you can also click on the X on the top right hand side of the system. This will also exit your PayGlobal application from your computer. So I'm just going to click on no because I do not want to exit. The second one is the edit. Now under the edit, you'll see a button called refresh grid. Notice that there is a shortcut that is also shown on towards the right hand side. It's always good to familiarize yourself with shortcuts because it can be really fast during peak times of your business hours if you need to get anything. The refresh grid is also very important. That is because even though you are all connected to a network, you are all in the same environment. This is a real-time environment. This is a real-time application database. But if you are on a particular employee's record, and if your other party on a different employee's record, and if they update their name to something else, and if they tell you to go and see, or if they update any of the records for a particular employee and they request you to go and see if the changes has been done, and if you are not able to see that, it could be ideally because you have not refreshed your grid. So just like anything else, if you do any changes, you need to refresh or you need to reload it. That's the same principle that is applied in PayGlobal. If a user has done any changes, and if they have advised you to check the changes, it's always best to first refresh your grid and then go and see the changes. Otherwise, you don't want to end up arguing with that user that you're not able to see that and the user is able to see that. The next menu bar is the tools bar, and there are some of the things that you can see under the tools bar. First one is the calculator. So if you are calculating an employee's salary, or if you're trying to calculate the overtime and check on your payroll processing if they have been if the system has calculated it correctly, you can click on this toolbar and calculator, and a Windows calculator will actually pop up. Alternatively, what you can do is you can use the shortcut to pop up the calculator. So show schedule info is basically showing you any schedule, that any report or anything that is running So what you can do, sometimes the reports takes a lot of time to run, so you can close that and let it run, and then while you're doing anything else, or while you're pausing the employee data, or doing anything else for that matter, you can always come over here and keep on checking what is the status of that particular report. So you'll be able to see that. The next one is the screensaver. So suppose if you are going to a restroom and you do not want to lock your machine, or if you are giving your machine to another employee and you want to lock your PayGlobal screen, and suppose you are in the middle of editing something and you don't want to move out of it and you just want to lock it and give it to an employee, what you can do is you can click on tools and click on screensaver. Alternatively, you can click on F11 as well, and what it will do is it will show you a blank white screen over here with written PayGlobal screensaver. Now if you want to go back to your editing mode or unlocked mode, you can click anywhere and it will ask you to log in again, and then you can just put your password and you're back to where you had left off. So even if you were trying to edit an employee's records, so for example, if I'm over here, and I'm actually editing an employee's record, let's suppose I'm trying to add a nationality over here and I have to lock my screen, so I'm just going to use the shortcut over here, and if I have to log back, then it will remain the settings, or where I have left off, it will remain as it is. It will not reset or it will not change. So that's the benefit of using a screensaver. If you have to quickly lock your screen and pause what you are doing and just move out for a quick meeting, or give your laptop or monitor to someone else, then you can just quickly use this tool. Let me just go back. All right, the next one is the saving your layout, and I'll show you how you can save your layout in other ways. Basically, whichever grid that you're using, you have the ability to save a layout on which you can always customize and save your layout. I'll cover this in a later tutorial video. The next one is changing your password. So if you feel that your password has been breached and you want to change your password, you can always come to tools and change password, and you can enter your old password and enter your updated password over here, and the new password will kick in from the next time that you log in. The last menu item over here is the help. So if you click on help, what it will do is it will open the PayGlobal help file over here, and then you can go in and refer to any articles if you want to. Now if you're not able to view this, then I have a video tutorial that shows how you can fix that, and I'll link that in the description below, and I'll also put that in the suggestion of this video so that you can go and watch it. The other option that you'll see under the help menu bar is the about. So when you click on the about is important as it shows quite a few important informations that probably you might have not noticed it before. And the first thing that it'll show you is the fact that you can always come over here and check what is your PayGlobal version. So if there's an upgrade that has been done and you want to cross check if the upgrade has been applied or not, you can always come over here and check the version of your PayGlobal. It will always show you the version of your PayGlobal that is on. The second thing is, if you go to the next step, which is the details tab over here, this is also very important. So if you want to see your user ID, this is your user ID that you'll see over here, or your username. And another important thing over here is your temporary directory. So if your PayGlobal application is not hosted on cloud, then it's hosted basically on an on-premise environment. Therefore, all your files by default would be sent to your temporary directory, and it's important to understand the path of your temporary directory. Now over here, let me give you a quick hint on how you can set this as your desktop shortcut so that you don't have to remember this path always. So what you can do is you can highlight this, copy this, and open Windows Explorer. You can either open a Windows Explorer or you can just click on run over here. And I'm just going to paste that link over here and click on enter. what it will do is it will take me to my temporary directory path. It will actually take me to my actual folder, inside the folder rather. And as you can see, there is no files or folder available because I have not sent any reports at the moment. But what you can do is you can go onto the just go onto the previous option over here on your Internet Explorer bar over here. Just click on PG temp, and what it will do is it will show you all the users of the system, and just click on the name of your profile, right click on it and show more properties. Send this to your desktop shortcut. Now when you send this to your desktop shortcut, what it will do is it will create a shortcut on your desktop. You can also change the name of it, and the next time that you run your report and send it to your temporary directory file, you don't really need to memorize this path. All you can do is just refer to your desktop and you'll see your folder, your temporary directory folder, stored there as a shortcut link. That's what the temporary directory is. It will also show you your ESS version. So if you are having if you have license to ESS, it will show you your ESS version. It will also indicate whether you have ESS or not. So if you're not sure, it will show you over here. And at the same time, just like for PayGlobal upgrades, if you are doing ESS upgrades as well, and if you want to check within the system whether it has been upgraded or not, you can always come over here, help, about, details, and at the bottom it will show you your most recent updated version that is currently installed. The last step over here is the database tab, and database tab is also important because it gives you some of the insights of the database. So this application is currently hosted on the database, and it will also tell you the version that is currently hosted on. So you can see this is hosted on SQL Server 2019. One of the other things that you can see over here is the server property. So this is currently hosted on this server name, and if you want to see, if you scroll down over here, that's what we just covered. This is the server properties that we have just covered over here. And if I go down, you'll see there's a database property over here, and it will show you the instance of the database that you are on. So this is the instance of the database that I'm currently on, and it will also show me the size of the database that I have. Now, one of the other things that it's useful under the about is the sending of information for audit. So at the end of the year, you are required to send this licensing to the audit. So this is where you'll go in and send it to. So this will automatically generate the information over here. So you can send it to the address that you want it to be sent, or you can just copy this and send it yourself manually through an email, whichever one helps you. So that's also useful to do so. So that's all about the menu bar on top over here. Right at the bottom, you'll see this is called the PayGlobal search toolbar, and what it basically does is it will filter and give you the data. I personally do not prefer using this method, and I'm going to show you an example, and within this example I'm going to show you why this is not my preferred method, and at the same time I'm going to show you an alternate way, a much better way to filter your data. So I'm going to select the location code as in this bar I'm going to select the field name, which is going to be the location code. And over here, let's just suppose I want to see a list of all the employees who is in Melbourne. So I'm going to select Melbourne over here and click on select. And so in order to apply this filter, what I'll do is I'll click on go. And the filter, as you can see, it has been applied. This filter gave me a result in a very small group of employees. But suppose if you're working on thousands and thousands of records, because your record will be showing both active and terminated employee. And this is a demo database, so it consists of less employees. Now, the thing is that if you see your grid over here, you will not be able to see if your particular data set has been filtered or not. You can see at the bottom on the footer, nothing is mentioned over here on the footer. and on your view, the one that you're looking for, you're not able to see any changes. Now, years back, this is one scenario that happened to me when I had applied this search uh, tool, and I was trying to look for another employee and I was not able to find it. And I was really stressing out, and I was trying to find out why am I not able to look for that employee code. It was later discovered that I had applied this filter, and because of that, since that day, I decided that, this is good as nothing. I do not prefer to use this. It's not, I do not encourage others to use this as well. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on clear, and I'm going to show you another method of applying a filter in your grid. And the way to do that is basically going to that particular field name, and in this case it's going to be location code over here. As you hover your cursor onto the field name, you'll see that there's a icon that gets visible, and if you zoom it in, you'll see that that is a drop down icon. Let me just zoom that in. Let me just zoom that in for you. Can you see? So even that icon, it shows you like a funnel filter icon. And I'm going to click on it and I'm going to apply my filter. In this case, I want Melbourne, a list of employees. Now what happens is you'll probably see the difference. The first thing is that right in front of your grid, you'll see that there's a icon that becomes static, unlike any other field icons, which is not visible until you hover it and select it. So this, and the color of the icon changes as well. So let me just zoom this in and show it to you, that the color also changes as you sort of click that. On top of that, at the bottom, you'll see there's a gray line on top over here. Now this gray line on top over here is visible for you, is visible to you far from your eye perspective, that you will be able to know that something is filtered. And this is very, very useful, because now that you know by this icon over here that is stating that there's a data filtered, and also a dark gray line that shows at the bottom that something is filtered. And to remove the filter is as easy as clicking on this X button and your filter gets reset. So this is the PayGlobal toolbar, and this is something that I do not suggest. It's just that I'm explaining what that bar is and what's the purpose of it is and how it gets displayed and what it does. So let's move to the next. So all this is part of the PayGlobal toolbar. I'll move to the next option over here. And by the way, all these options over here is called the toolbar. So on top that we had covered over here is the menu bar that we had covered, and the one that we are covering right now is called the toolbar. So let's move to the other item over here. Alright, so this icon is basically the add icon. If you click on it, what it will do is it will open our employee record, an empty employee record dialog box. This is where you are going to start and do all the new hiring of the employee or onboarding of the employee over here. If you're following me and if you also clicked on it, that's all right. You can click on escape and it will go back to its default search based on the last selection of the employee in your grid, and just click on another escape and it will remove. The next one is the delete record. So if you want to delete an employee record, you can click delete and it will get deleted. Now, big note over here: do not delete any record if it has been processed in your PayGlobal system. And by the way, if you have created an employee's record, you won't just be able to delete an employee record just like that. So for example, if I'm just going to delete this employee's record, there's an option over here. I'll click on yes. You'll see that there are certain things that you need to meet in order to delete the employee's record, but either intentionally or unintentionally, do not try to delete an employee's record. There can be situations where the employee had joined and in 1 or 2 days they left, and because of that you have not processed any pay. If that is the situation, then yes, you can go ahead and reuse the employee ID or delete the employee code and just do a new. That makes sense, and I think that's the only exception that I can think of. Other than that, you will never ever do that. So we'll move to the next one. The next one is basically modeling a record. This icon over here is basically called model record. Now let me give you a quick hint over here. If you do not understand what these terminologies are, what these icon terminologies are, and it's okay, we tend to forget, so that's totally fine. But the trick is you hover your cursor on top of it and it will read out the name of that icon. So if I do not know what this X means, I just hover my cursor on top of that icon and it will read out the name of that icon and also the shortcut of that icon. So if you are on the add record over here, you can go in and click on this button that will add, but in the breaker it has insert. So if you use the insert on your keyboard in order to add the employee's record, you can also do that. So let's resume. So the next item over here is model record. Now modeling a record is the same as creating a new record, but what it does is it will create a new record based on some of the existing details of that existing record. So what it will do is PayGlobal is smart. It's not going to copy any personal details of the employee, but it will copy the business related details. For example, the leave entitlements, the position codes, the location that they are based in, for that existing employee record that you have selected by default. Now this tool is extremely useful, and I think I have never ever used a new record. I've always been using model record from the beginning, but I mean, I have used new record for 1 or 2 instances, very rare though, most probably in my first very young days, but I've always used the model record. Now with the model record, this is very useful, especially if you are trying to replace a vacant position that was occupied by an existing employee or by an ex-employee in the organization. So what you can do is you can just go to their record and all the details would be the same, all the business related details would be the same, the leave entitlements and everything else would be the same, and you can click on model record. Now when you click on there's a different option that will come up over here. You'll see you are required to assign a new code, the first name and the last name and the start date. Start date by default will show you the current date over here. Other than that, you click on OK and the existing details will get mapped out. Now I will cover this in depth when we go through entering a basic new employee record, and in that I'm going to show you what is the difference when you see adding a record and modeling a record. So you'll actually see the difference. Well, I think in this session you know what the difference is. The difference is that when you model a record, it will copy some of the existing details, mainly the business details of the employee that you are currently active on or you have currently selected on. And this is very useful if you are trying to recruit the same position 2 or 3 times. So you just have to go to that position and model that existing record. Or what you can do is, if you are recruiting someone who has left the organization and you want their details to be the same, then you can go to that particular employee. So it helps you speed up your data entry process, especially if you have chunks of data entry that you need to do. Now the next one over here is called the expand, and the other one is called the collapse. So this is expand and collapse. This is very useful, extremely useful in terms of when you are grouping the records or when you are having multiple groups of data. Also, it's useful on the navigation panel as well. So let me show you what it will do. So expand all, if I click over here in this area and if I click on expand, it will expand all the properties of that, all the properties of it. And if I click on collapse, it will basically collapse it. And that's the same it will do when you are grouping columns as well. It will expand and collapse. The next item over here is called the global list. So let me just click on it. What the global list will do is it displays a list of all the PayGlobal entities and commands that you can just quickly type and search. So for example, if I want to see all list of annual leave tables that has been created, what I can do is I can open my global list. What I can do is open my global list and type ANN, click on OK. Now the global list, not only does it take you to that specific table that you had requested, but if you notice on the left hand side, it also takes you to that specific location. So it will always show you where is that entity coming from, or where is the entity picked from. And to be honest, there are certain tables or certain entities that I do not know how to navigate myself manually, and because I'm just so used to using global list over here, that I don't really need to try to look for each of the folders and see where that entity is stored. All I have to do is open the global list over here and type. So suppose if I want to see a list of all the allowances, then I'm going to type ALL. Now the reason why I'm typing the first three letters is if you try to type the entire word, what it will do is it will eventually you'll slow down one place or the other, and as soon as you slow down, it will try to pick that second letter. So suppose if let me just reset this and let me try to do the search again. So suppose if I want to see annual allowances, so if I type A and then L, as you see, as soon as I type L, it uses that second letter as my beginning character of the search. So always, if you're searching for entities, always just write the first 2 or 3 letters very quickly so that it will direct you to those letters, and then from there you can scroll up and down and just work your way from there. If you have typed it by mistake, then what you can do is just select a second icon over here and then type it again, AL, and then there you go. So when I type AL, it doesn't lead me to allowances, it shows me the entity of the allowance groups, and that's all right because allowance is just bottom. So you might have to scroll up and down or select different thing, but if you use the first letters, it will actually, rather than scrolling all the way and looking for it, it will actually give you a fair idea of where to navigate and search from. So let me click on OK, and again the allowances, the global list will take you not only to the allowances entity, but also on the left hand side it will show you from where is that entity stored or being derived from. The next item over here is called the total records. So if you are on a particular record and you want to see what is the sum of the records that you're viewing, simply click on this and it will show you the number of records that is displayed on the grid. So as you can see, this is 436 records. At the same time, if you look at the bottom left hand corner, you will be able to see the total number of records that is been displayed. This is a quick view for you. You can always look over here and see how many records are displayed, or if you want, you can always click on the E icon and it will show you the number of records that is currently being displayed. The next one is the pay status icon. This is a very useful icon because it shows you the status of your payroll. So if I click onto this, and the first tab will show you your payroll accumulator. Basically it will show you your last closed payroll details. So this is the last closed payroll details that it is showing over here. But if you go to the second tab, which is the PR sequence tab, it will show you the status of all your payroll. Now over here you will see 3 types of status. So let me just zoom that in for you, so you'll see this over here. At the moment you are looking at 2 status, which is X and which is that icon over there. Now there's one more status that it will show, but you'll probably wonder what is this status and what does it refer to. So these are the 3 icons, the three status icons that would be shown under the pay status icon. So the first one is basically the X icon, and the X icon basically indicates that your pay is open, but it has not been processed yet. So basically it indicates that pay is open and payroll team is busy processing and entering the transaction, processing the leaves, taking the leaves, doing the deductions, and so forth. So it's just been open yet, but it's not been processed yet. The tick indicates that your pay has been open and it has been successfully processed. Now, being successfully processed does not mean that your pay has been closed. It means that your payroll has come to a conclusion, or it may have come to an end. And at the moment, what is happening is your payroll team is actually running reports and doing their reconciliation and checking the payroll transaction, whether the pay is correct or not. Or it could be they're waiting for signatories for it to be signed and then sent to the bank. Or it could also mean that the pay has been sent to the bank and they are actually waiting for confirmation from the bank to indicate that the pay has been successfully accepted. The bank file has been successfully imported into their system. Therefore, they can go in, they can then go to the system and close the pay. And that's when the last icon will be shown, which is something like this. This icon shows that the pay has been successfully closed. So I hope now you understand what are these three types of pay status icons that you will see in your pay status icon tab over here, and what does it mean for each of those icons. Now there's a lot of things that I can discuss over here as well, but I feel like I will lose out on the time. But if you want me to go through this in depth, I'll probably do that later on, maybe in a payroll training. But for now, those are the two things that is critical for you to know. This tab is the rostering tab. If you have a license to it, then you can see the rostering sequence. Other than that, the other one is the DNA sequence. So you can see it's the same thing, whether you're actual. So the DNA in DNA we call actuals for a particular pay sequence, and the pay sequence is as same as your payroll sequence. However, this is actuals because this refers to your daily view, and the reference is also the same. Tick means that your actual is open and it has been successfully processed, and there's a separate step of processing actuals. X refers that your actual has just been opened but it has not been processed, and of course the other icon indicates that the actual is closed. So these are the icons that you will see. These are different because it has its own different components. So you might have, for the same pay ending dates, you might have an actual that has been processed and a payroll sequence of that rated is not yet processed. So you could also have that because it has different functionals. And later on in the series, I'm going to explain all this to you. So stay tuned. And if you have not subscribed yet, then I would appreciate that like and also a subscribe if you are getting value from this video. So let's continue. The rest of the icons over here it will show you what all module licenses it is. Now, let me stress this. It is very important to understand this because this is related to the access level as well. Now, let me show you an example. So suppose you have the HR module over here, and when you hover it, it will state that this is a module that has been activated, and it will ask you, do you want to hide the HR module? So that's what it's asking you. Do you want to hide the HR module? If I go to my HR module over here, and if I click on this drop down arrow, it will show me all the submodules of the HR module. But if I hide the HR module, now this is hidden. How do you know this is hidden? If you see these two icons over here, this shows that the HR module is hidden, and the rest of this shows that it is active. So you can see there's a difference, and this is more like it's been pressed, and this is like it's not been pressed. So that's what it shows. You'll see that when you hover it, it will also ask you, do you want to show the HR module? Now let me, on the left hand side, let me show you what the HR module looks like now. So if I click on this arrow, you'll see that you can only see those two modules over here. Despite having the full access, and I'm logged in as the administrator of this system, you still not be able to see that. And no matter what you do on your user profile, it will not fix it until or unless you come over here and you enable this, or you click on it to show the HR module. And when I click on it, and notice that it's asking me that you want to hide your HR module, and if I go over here, you'll see that those modules are visible. Likewise for PR, which means payroll module, you can see there's a payroll folder over here, but if I click onto this, you'll probably notice that the payroll core folder is actually disappeared. It's actually gone from the menu bar over here. So I would suggest you to leave this as it is and do not play around with it. Sometimes you click on it by mistake, or sometimes you just want to see what will this do, and when you click on it, there's no impact. You'll see, oh, it just did a refresh, but there is an impact, and it does revoke a lot of your access despite you being the administrator, or despite you having the full access. All right, so let's move to the next icon. The next icon is called the favorites icon over here. What this icon will actually mean is that it will show you all your favorite modules, folders, entities, or makeup tables, even run commands that you set it as a favorite. So let me show you what I mean. Now let's suppose that I'm an administrator and I have full access to PayGlobal system, but at the same time I'm new, or at the same time I want things to be quickly accessed rather than finding each of the modules over here and identifying where it is. So a trick to that is you can set some of those areas as your favorite areas, and then as you click onto those favorite link, you would be able to see all your favorite items. So let's say, for example, you want to have the employees data. So in order to set that, I'm going to right click on that employees on the left hand side. I'm going to select that employees record and right click on it, and I'm going to click on favorites in order to tick it. So that is actually added into my favorites. Now let's do another example. So let's just suppose I want to have all the payroll procedures added into my favorite items so that I can have a quick access of all the payroll procedures. Now, so the payroll procedure is actually inside the payroll module. As you know, we're going to click on this arrow, and then it's going to select, right click on it and select favorite, right click on the second one and select favorite. So I want to open, I also want to process, right click, I also want to close, right click and select favorite. Now the fact that this is stored under the root folder of the payroll folder will be shown on my favorites, but when I click onto it, it will only show me those areas which I have ticked as favorite. Let's find that out. So when I go to my favorites icon over here, show favorites, as you can see, if I click on employees, it will show me all the employees on my grid. But if I click on the payroll folder as well, it will only show me those payroll items that I have set as a favorite item. So if I need to have a quick access of something, or if I'm trying to learn and understand how PayGlobal works, and I only want certain items to only show me for my quick access, then this is the solution. You can set those items as favorites. Now, how do you go out of those items? So in order to go out of those items, what you can do is you can click on it again, and if I go out, your favorites is, as you can see, is restored to your default view that you were seeing at the beginning. Okay, so the last item under the toolbar is called the hide or show browser. So what it will basically do is it will hide your left panel. So if I click onto this, as you can see, it will hide my left panel, and if I want to view my left panel, I'll click on it. Now this is also a very good feature and a tool, because if I click on employees, as you can see, I have to scroll across in order to view my data. And what this will do is it will help you a little bit in terms of allowing additional space to show your data on your grid right in front of your eyes. And then you can adjust it as you want to, and sort of have the entire grid, or at least the important fields in front of your eyes and at your eye view. So as simple as clicking on that, it will hide. As simple as clicking on it again, it will show. Again, one of my personal experiences was very young age when I was beginning to understand what PayGlobal is. I was actually clicking on each of the items, and when I clicked onto this, I really didn't realize what I clicked on, and I got really scared. I thought I had lost the navigation panel, because when you are going to log out and log back in, your navigation panel, your settings will be as it is, as you are seeing right now. So if you are hiding your browser and you are going to log out and log in again, the next time that you will log in, you're gonna have the same setting that is applied on your PayGlobal. And so I was not able to identify why it was not showing, and slowly I came to know that it was because of the site clicked on it and it was hidden. I was so worried and so scared, but yeah, it was sort of finding it out myself and learning it my own way. So I'm trying to teach as much as I can to as many as people as I can, and sort of give you a better experience of trying to learn and trying to understand PayGlobal and the application itself. All right, so let's move on to the next. The next item that I want to show you is sort of the left panel over here. Now, you have noticed me saying this as left panel, but there's actually a terminology for this. This panel over here is called the tree view. You can also call it as a navigation panel. The actual terminology of it is called the tree view. And the reason why it's called the tree view is because, as you can see, there's a folder, and within the folder there's a subfolder, and there's a sub content of that as well. So it's sort of like a tree view. You'll have the root, and then the root will have the branches, and then the branches will have the leaves. So that is why, and that is how the name is actually derived. So this is called the tree view. But if you call it a navigation panel, that's still fine. People will still understand, because in website context, the left panel, or you can say the left panel, it's usually called the navigation panel. So you know what the navigation panel is. This is something similar that you'll see on the employee self-service portal as well. And you can also hide that and also show it in other systems as well. You'll probably be able to do that on your navigation panel. Now inside navigation panel, you'll see different types of icons over here, and I'm going to explain you what are these different types of icon over here. So the first on top is called the local folders over here. This is called the local folders. Your local folders basically manages messages that has been sent or received in PayGlobal. It's more like a queuing system, like a printing system that you have. It gets queued, and then it decides where it will go, whether it will go to your outbox, or whether it will be sent, or whether it will be deleted. So each of it has a very important tasks to perform. Its functions is basically to send reports from your PayGlobal to the drive that you have actually specified, and also to email it to the specific emails that you have mentioned while you are running the report. Now, some of you might notice that this access is not available for you. If you're not able to see this could be because your payroll administrator has not granted you this access, the ability for you to actually send or receive messages. Therefore, you might not see this access. But if you're a full administrator access, or if your administrator has given you access, the ability to send and receive your reports, then you should be able to see this. This is also at the same time clicked by default. So whenever you open PayGlobal, if you're not able to see anything on your grid, it's because by default your cursor is actually pointing at this, which is the local folders, rather than pointing at the employees. As you click on the employees, then the employees grid will be shown, but under the local folders, it's the root of the folder. You probably might not see anything. Next, underneath the local folders is called the inbox. inbox, it works familiar with your Microsoft Outlook. It's sort of a default setting for all the report to come and sit on your inbox. So basically what it does, it sends the reports to the inbox of the user who has generated the report. So as soon as, and I'm going to show you an example most likely, as soon as a user actually runs a report, it will come and sit under the inbox. And you can always, so if you want to rerun the report, or you want to view the last report that you had run, you don't have to go and regenerate the report. Well, unless you have made the changes, then you'll have to go and regenerate it. But it just, suppose for your reference purpose, if you like to go and see the report, you can just come to your inbox and double click on it. As you double click on it, the report will actually open, and you will be able to see all the report details that you had run last time. So rather than executing it from the beginning and waiting it, you can just go to your inbox and sort of see what information that you have over there. Do note that this will not show any changes that you have made after that report. If you have made changes after that report, you will need to rerun the report yourself. But if you only want to reference the report that you have run rather than rerunning the report, you can just double click on this and the report that you had run previously will get open. Sometimes when you click on it, it will freeze, or it will take long times to load. This is because your inboxes are not managed, and that is why it will take a lot of time to load, because you will have thousands of records to be displayed, which is why we usually recommend maintaining these areas. So as you can see, the last report that was run was in 2017. Let me just run a report and show you how it will look. So I'm just going to go to the reports. I'm going to run a simple report over here, and I'm not going to set up any outbox. Once the report runs, I'm just going to close the report, and I'm just going to go back to my inbox. As you can see, as I had run the report, it automatically logged it into my inbox. So it knows that I have the user, which is me, I have generated a report, so it keeps it as your view data. If I click on it, this is the text file that it will show, but in the brackets. But if I click on this one, it will show me the actual PDF file. If I go to the output over here, you'll see there's no output. So let me explain to you what output is. The output holds the files or reports that is sent from the PayGlobal until you do the send and receive command or send and receive function for it to be sent. So it sort of holds the files under the output if you're trying to send it to your local directory, or to the file that you have specified, or to an employee's email address. What it will do is it will not directly send it until you do the send and receive function. It will place it under the outbox. So let me go back and let me rerun that report that I had selected. And this time, what I will do is let me save as new message. So I'm going to leave it to send to my inbox, but I'm going to also go to the file options. This is where I'll specify what type of output do I want it to be shown. So I have the format over here, and I can put the file name over here is statistics report. So as soon as I'm going to click on OK, it's going to send this report to my outbox as well. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go to my outbox. As I go to my outbox, you'll see that there's a report that is waiting to be sent to the destination that I had specified. So at the moment, it's not sent. That's where the send actually comes in. The send will show you all the reports that you have sent, and will show you the other information as well. Which user profile was it sent from? When was it actually generated? So at the moment, I haven't sent this report, which is why it's still waiting under my outbox. So it's something else to also note, that if you try to generate a report that you wanted to send it to someone, and you notice that there's an issue or there's an error on the report, and you went back and fixed it, and you have regenerated the report, and you do a send and receive, what will happen is both of those reports will be sent until or unless you come to the outbox over here and delete the previous one and then do a send and receive. So this is very, very crucial and important for you to understand, because you never know whom you are sending this report to. So that's where the send will go and log. Deleted items will show the items that you have deleted. So if I had to delete the outbox, it will go and show under the deleted items. Now, instead of deleting this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a send and receive so that I can show you where the send will go, and I'm going to show you a separate example of the deleted item. So now I'm going to do send and receive. Now, in most cases, you'll probably see this may not be ticked if you're running it for the first time. What it will do is it will not show you this error log, so you will not know if the report has been actually completed. So it's always good to tick this box over here, which will always show you the status once the report has been run. So it will sort of generate audit log, and I always have a habit of opening the audit log and seeing where it has been sent to and whether it has been successfully sent or not. So I just had a fond of it, of checking this. So now as I escape this, if I go to the sent items, you'll see that my name over here, my username, and the report that I have now is sitting under the sent. It's been moved from the outbox. It's sitting under the sent, which means that I've sent it to the destination that I have specified. Deleted items is, as I mentioned, if you want to delete any items from your outbox or even from your inbox, it will go to your deleted items. Now, if I want to delete the text files over here, what I'll simply do is I can right click and I can delete the message, or I can use the delete keyword on my keyboard in order to delete this. Now, if I go to the deleted items, you will see all the deleted items are showing over here. And then I can go ahead and delete these items over here. So that is what the local folder means. It's sort of a full explanation, a full-blown explanation of what that is. If you want to get more information on your grid over here, you can also right click customize and you sort of get more detailed information. But I think this information is good enough to show you what report you have run, when you have run, which user has it been run from, and then you can walk your way from there. We will now move to the second icon over here. After the local folders, you'll see there's a second icon, which is the employees. As you click on the employees, this will list out your employees grid or the employees listing over here. The next icon over here is called the daily view. The daily view will open a separate interface on its own. This is mainly linked with your time and attendance module. So only if you are licensed to time and attendance module, which you will be able to see from the module section over here, that will be the TNE, then you would be able to know that you are licensed to this module, and you would be able to see the daily view over here. Then again, even though you are still licensed, it will all depend on your access level. The transaction view is mainly for your pay processing. This again opens up a separate interface in which the payroll team would be using this to process the daily payroll processing tasks that they usually do. Now, at the moment, I'm not going to open this and complicate this training. This is just our getting to know PayGlobal, the PayGlobal fundamentals of things. So as long as you understand what those icons mean and what those do, I think you're good enough for this session. The next one is the document view, and again the document view will open a separate interface in which it will show you all the documents that you have uploaded. It will show you by folders, and inside the folder you can create a subfolder, and then you can place all your documents there as it is. Now this all also depends on your licensing level. So even though you are able to see it on my screen, if you are not able to see this information, then do know that it may be due to your license level. All right, the next icons you'll see is the basic folder icon that you'll see in your Windows. So just like that window icon means it's a folder, and inside the folder you'll have a set of files. That is the same function over here. It's like a folder, and inside the folder you'll have a set of files as well. You can have a subfolder, and underneath the subfolder you'll have these icons. Now this is very important for you to understand. These two icons are very important for you to know what this icons is. This icon over here is called the entity icon. As you can see, the entity is basically a collection of records. You can also call this a table as well. What it basically does is it holds data which is made up of records. So whenever you see an entity, you can basically go in, view the records, and you can edit, add, or even delete the records. Say for example, if I go to countries over here, I can see a list of all the countries. So if I want, I can right click, I can add, edit, delete the country record that I have over here. Now it's not easy as deleting it, because if this table, if this entity is attached to one of the employees, you will have a dependency error message because it's linked to an employee's record. Therefore you will not be able to delete it unless you go and delete, remove, or update that employee's country to something else. However, that is the definition, or that is what that icon means. So on top of this icon over here, this is called the makeup table. So as you can see over here, this is called the makeup table. And basically what a makeup table is, these are specific tables that are created by linking two or more entities together. So if you can see, it's more of joining each entity, just like a cubicle joined together. That's what it symbolizes. It symbolizes these entities are joined together. Now on this entity, you cannot edit these tables directly. You will have to go to their parent or source entities in order to edit this information that you will be able to see. Now let me give you an example of this, one scenario example where you'll see that this is made up by two or more entities. That's where the name comes from, makeup table. It's been made up by two or more entities, two or more tables. So say for example, if I click on employee visa over here, you'll see there's an employee visa record showing. You will be able to see, depending on the information that you click, you will be able to see the records that are maintained in your organization. Some of the information you might not see. This is because those areas might not be utilized by your organization. And it's a good point over here to address that if you have a system, it's always good to try to utilize all of its features as long as it comes into your use. If it's not in your use, then you don't really need to spend your time and effort in maintaining that area of your data. So for this example, we have an employee over here who has a holiday visa. Now these are two separate tables that is made up and showing you as a makeup table together. This employee code and the employee name is actually pulling from the employees table, and the visa code and the visa description is actually pulled from the visas table. So if I click on the visas over here, it will show you all the visa property. If I double click over here, I can see the subtype over here and the expiry date. So I can always right click and select subtype and the expiry date if I want to, so that it will show over here. But at the same time, if I go to the employee visas over here, I can right click and I can go into the visa code. That's where I can capture the subtype and the expiry date as well, and it will show me over here. The fact that this is linked to the employee table, it gives much more power, because then the employee table is basically linked with majority of the tables in the system. For example, the department table, the location table. Therefore, if I right click and customize this under the employee code, and that's the primary link that is connecting to it. If I go to the department over here, not only I will be able to select the department code, but I can go inside that particular table and select the description over here. So it's now linking against the department table via the employee code. So if I click on OK, now it's going to show me which department the employee is belonging to. So the makeup table is very useful and very fascinating as well, because you have a lot of things that you can match together and generate it as a report itself. You do not need to actually have it specifically designed. There are certain things that might be useful to have it designed and have it scheduled on it, But if you want to run it depending on your preferences or on your changing of your reporting, if you want this report to have this information, if you want that report to have that specific information, then MYOB tables is your go-to place where you can play around and decide which columns you want it to be viewed on your report itself. The other icon that you will see, and this is mainly for the payroll team that they will see, is basically the commands. As you can see, this is this icon over here. These icons over here are called commands, and commands are basically used to run special tasks in the application. These tasks are very important, and that's why they are in green, and you can't click on it and run it. So if I click on it, as you can see, it doesn't open or doesn't do anything unless or until I double click on it, then it sort of executes it. The reason why it's been like that, because as the name suggests, it's a command, it's a run command, and it runs special tasks. So the application needs to be sure that you are genuinely running that task and you have not clicked on it by mistake. That is why in order to activate those commands, you'll have to double click on it. Well, these are some of the basic fundamentals. If I have not explained you, then this is basically your grid, and this is where your information will be displayed. This is called the grid view over here. Now if you click on the employees, this will show you all the employees grid, but if you click on different entities or different MYOB tables, that's depending on the entity or the MYOB table you select, that's how your grid will be viewed. Now in the grid, you have some properties over here within the grid. The first one is the view entities. This is where you are actually viewing the entity, which is the default view. The second is actually the queries are basically filtered information that you can create and save it and then activate it for generating those filtered information that you want to have a look at. Queries are very powerful and very useful. Probably I'm going to have that as a special tutorial to explain in depth what queries are and how you can set it up. Layout as well is very useful. You can set your queries as a layout, and then based on the layout you can activate different types of layout that you want to view. And then the last one is view documents. This view documents is used for creating a mail match document. And if you're using a mail match documents, yes, you can create a mail match document from PayGlobal. If you're using or if you're doing that, then you would be referring to view documents at one point in time, or in order to view your previous mail match documents, you'll be accessing it from here. At the moment, none is created, otherwise I would have shown you. View grades queries, you can see there's multiple queries that is created currently over here that you can view and sort of activate it. So in order to activate it, just right click on it and activate, and that's what it actually activates. If you double click on it, inside is what it matters. It has clauses, and you can set up clauses to filter your data to how you want it to show. And there are a few other informations that I'll probably run this through in a different session. That is just a very detailed overview of the PayGlobal application system. This is just understanding of the interface, understanding the terminologies, and sort of making you get to know the PayGlobal system. So I hope you have enjoyed watching this video. If so, please do give a thumbs up and consider subscribing to this channel. I would greatly appreciate that. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.